Hi, everybody. Welcome in. It's Sunday evening. You know what time it is. It's region weather time. I need like fireworks or some kind of sparkler system in the background. That'd be great to make weather more exciting than it can ever be, right? Because we all know it's super exciting to begin with. And it was been kind of exciting this week. What end of the week that we had, at least from a meteorological perspective. With Helene coming in and the remnants is swirling around, it certainly has been active weather for the eastern half of the country. I feel bad for all the meteorologists out west because there's been nothing. There has been no weather over the last week and a half out in the western U.S. Everything's been out east. So we're going to talk about that. First and foremost, I hope you guys had a nice weekend. I know we're wrapping it up. Sunsets are getting earlier. My goodness, it's dark outside. It's crazy. It's how the seasons are changing. Eventually, the weather and the temperatures are going to follow suit, right? We're not having as much daylight outside, and so we're not heating up as much. And eventually, the northern hemisphere obviously is going to respond. So, in the forecast, we're going to go long range. We're going to talk about that response from Mother Nature. I do see some signs in the long range of some pretty chilly air coming our way. Whether it's true or not, I mean, things happen this time of year. We've had snow as early as mid-October before, and some of the models are showing perhaps some cooler air coming our way. So we'll discuss that. I do want to give a recap over how much rain we got, how much rain much of the eastern half of the country got. I have a 5-day radar or 4-day radar loop of the system and how it kind of unwinds with Helene, which is kind of cool. So we'll cover all that coming up here in the forecast. I want to say thanks to our early birds for getting on here. Linda, first on tonight. Linda Shellman, good evening to you. Thanks for being early here tonight. Mary's with us. Hi, Mary. Jeff. Ethan's with us on our YouTube channel. Hi, Ethan. Amanda's with us as well. Darlene on our YouTube channel. Darlene, I hope you had a nice weekend. Rhonda says we need a dry day tomorrow so we can get a new roof put on. Rhonda, we look okay tomorrow. And boy, that's going to be some loud banging going on at 7 a.m. is when they usually start, but you should be okay tomorrow for that new roof. That's good news. Let's see. And JP's with us. JP, thanks for spending some time with us. I know it's nice to have you. We've missed you last couple of weeks. Debbie's with us. Happy first day of October. Debbie's excited that we're getting in October. October starts Tuesday? I think it's Tuesday. Gail, good evening. Jill says the Browns lost. Yes, Bears had a good game. Browns did not do very well here in the last minute or so. Just embarrassing. I don't put much weight in the Browns. Jill, hello. Thanks for joining us. Rich is with us and Carl's with us. We can get started. Carl's here, everybody. All right. Oh, real quick, let me thank our sponsors. I'm going to breeze through these real fast. They keep the show for free. They're awesome. They're all local businesses I'd put anything behind. FBIbuildings.com. If you're looking for a new pole barn, whether it be residential or commercial, you should see the work they do. It really is amazing. They've got layouts and structures that anything you can imagine you can do with these structures, and they do a great job. It's FBIbuildings.com. They've done over 22,000 of them in the Midwest, and I encourage you to just go to their Facebook page. It's FBI Buildings. Not like FBI, like they're after you. It's FBI, like they're great builders. And I'll tell you, their webpage and their Facebook page is amazing. They're doing new projects all over the Midwest, and they'll do yours. They'll even renovate old ones. Like say someone else, or perhaps you inherited a property, has a pole barn on it, needs reconstructed. They'll do that as well. Public Service Adjusters. It's publicserviceadjusting.com. Those are our folks that take your insurance claim if you have one, and they'll run with it. So if something bad happens where you need to file an insurance claim, instead of going to your insurance company, you go to them first. PSA, again, publicserviceadjusting.com. They're local to Northwest Indiana. They're licensed, insured adjusters. They were out at Popcorn Fest a couple weekends ago. They're all over the place in Northwest Indiana. They're awesome folks. But what they do is they take that insurance claim and they'll go to your insurance company for you. They'll come over, take pictures. They'll do all the work. You don't have to do anything. You sit back and you live your life like you should instead of having to deal with phone calls and insurance claims and people getting back to you. They do all that work. They get you more money than you normally would with your insurance company. They don't settle for less. They're great. And 5-star reviews across the board. Publicserviceadjusting.com. TigerPlumbing.net is the place to go if you need a plumber. So many of you use Tiger Plumbing, and it just melts my heart. And they're happy with you guys as well. They say region weather folks are some of the best folks. We're just all friendly, right? We like the weather. But anyway, thanks for supporting them. It's TigerPlumbing.net. They come out for free, which is awesome. They've got a special right now. I think it's $30 off if you mention Region Weather off of a service call, which is pretty cool. So if you need something fixed, not only do they come out for free, but they'll take $30 off. And you can do it all on your phone. You'll see who's coming. You can take a picture of the problem. It's great. TigerPlumbing.net. Grieger's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Valparaiso. They've got brand new Jeeps on the lot, ready to go with 4-wheel drive for the brand new season. How about that? Let's not talk about the snow yet, but as we need to prepare for it, Grieger's is a place to go. Grieger's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Valparaiso. And speaking of preparing, you know your storm action plan, right? If there's going to be a thunderstorm coming, you know how to prepare for that. You have, hopefully an emergency kit. Well, you need one for life as well. That's where Minogue.life comes in. That's the website, Minogue.life. Michael's been serving Northwest Indiana around the world of Medicaid and life insurance and Medicare and all that confusing stuff. He knows it best, and he will sit down with you. He'll come up with an individual plan for you because a lot of people are overpaying for life insurance and some people aren't paying enough. And you want to make sure you have enough if the worst happens, right? And he'll make sure that you have a great plan that is catered to you. It's Minogue.life. He also wants to let me know that substantial changes are coming our way to Medicare Advantage plans Part C and prescription drug plans Part D for 2025. They will take effect if you don't do anything about it. They can be confusing, and if you need help sorting through those, Michael knows them inside and out. He's basically been studying it all year. So he can take the time, obviously, to take any confusing stuff and review an individual plan for you and what you need. All right. So Minogue.life is the place to go for that. All right. Thanks for letting me get through those. Let's dive into the forecast. Here's what we're dealing with right now. This is a 4.5-day radar loop of Helene coming in. All right. So let's let it unwind and go back to the beginning. There you go. Look at the rain. It held for a while on Friday, and then eventually it made it in here Friday night into Saturday. But notice how this band kind of developed into Saturday and Saturday night. That brought some good rain to extreme northwestern Lake County and Chicago. And then this low's just been kind of sitting around, producing some clouds, but also producing showers downstate. This same low is going to be here tomorrow as well, okay? Here's the main kind of setup across the country. I mentioned how quiet the West is, and it really is. This is really their first action that they've seen in a while. This is a cold front. This cold front's going to bring us a little shot of some cooler air this week, and it's going to bring our dew points down. So if you think it's muggy outside, which it is, it's humid for late September around here, right? Helene kind of brought a lot of that in, but the tropics, are kind of doing their thing this time of year. They displace tropical air off towards the north. They also displace heavy amounts of rainfall to areas that need it off towards the north. And so when it brought all that rain, it also brought that mugginess, and there's nothing really to steer it out. So it is kind of humid outside. That humidity is going to go away with this front midweek. Okay, it's on its way. But you notice eastern half of the country, there's not much movement. We still have kind of the lingering low kind of trophiness from Helene, but it's no sign of what it was before, right? And things just kind of meandering around. Here's where the latest drought monitor kind of takes us. Here in Northwest Indiana, we've got moderate drought for most of our counties, and then it gets real bad as you get into Tennessee up towards Ohio. Why do I say that? Well, let's take you through who got rain. This is the rainfall map for the last 5 days, which includes all of Helene's rainfall. Look where a lot of this fell. I mean, areas that need it: West Virginia, Ohio, into Indiana, Kentucky, and then most importantly, Tennessee got the heaviest, and they had some of the worst drought. Carolinas and the mountains obviously had crazy flooding from this. It was, just devastating flooding in the mountains of North Carolina, the Blue Ridge Mountains down towards the southern Appalachians. Georgia obviously got hit hard, Florida as well, and both Carolinas. And up towards Tennessee, we got not just wind damage, but the flooding was just incredible with this as the system kind of came in with the tropical moisture, and then that tropical moisture hits the Appalachian Mountains and goes up. And remember, when things go up in the weather world, that creates lift, and it produces more rain. And so these bands that came in just really rained out across areas of the Blue Ridge Mountains. I mean, it was just coming down in buckets for hours and hours and hours. And some of the totals down here are insane. Take a look at these radar estimated totals just east of Asheville. Remember, you don't get a good radar coverage here because it's mountainous, so the radar doesn't get into Asheville very well. But these are 5-day totals, 20 to 24 inches of rain in spots, and that's in the mountainous area. So that water has nowhere to go but down. So those valley areas, if the areas surrounded by the mountains just suffered from this. Even Atlanta picked up anywhere from 5 to 10 inches across areas of Georgia. Just incredible amounts of rain. Southern Ohio picked up anywhere from 6 to 7 inches in spots. And then for us here in Northwest Indiana, that band that set up Saturday night, that was it was one of the outer bands of what was Helene. And that just was pretty persistent, wasn't moving a whole lot. And we picked up anywhere from 1 to 3 inches in areas of Chicago. And then for us, like in Portage, an inch of rain, got a little bit more in Gary up towards Whiting. You can see the Whiting area picking up about 1.15. The rest of us, not a whole lot. It was some, half an inch to an inch was the general rule. Some spots got a little bit less than that. And again, that's a 5-day total. So a lot of the weekend was dry outside of that Friday night into Saturday kind of shower activity we had. But really, that's it. We needed it. We didn't get a ton of it, but we got some. So we can't complain about that. So let's look forward now. Let's get you out, this week, kind of learning what's going on weather-wise. That system that's still kind of spread out, which is technically the remnants of Helene, but not really, it's still going to be spinning off towards our east tomorrow. So we're going to still have some clouds around. We're still going to have that northeast flow. So it's still going to be on the breezy side. And we can't rule out a shower. It's going to be mainly during the afternoon. You can see how they kind of pop like popcorn. There's not a lot of moisture left with this system. There's not a lot of reason for the air to lift. Remember, it's getting kind of lazy. So can't rule out a shower. Best chance is going to be south and east. I really have a feeling that most of us stay dry. All right. And then that would go away after sunset. And then you notice here, if you can see these arrows on your screen, notice what's coming in. See how the arrows start to change and they start to point out of the northwest? That's a frontal boundary. That front doesn't have a lot of moisture with it right now. It's that one that's out west. It's going to pass sometime as we go into tomorrow night and Tuesday morning. All right. And what it's going to do on Tuesday, it's finally going to start to tap into a little bit of this leftover moisture from Helene and a flow that's, full of moisture coming out of the Gulf and off the Atlantic. And so what the system will do as it's passing, I expect it to develop showers either over us or east of us in Northwest Indiana. All right. And that's during the daytime on Tuesday. What you'll notice outside of a low shower risk on Tuesday is the fact that our wind is going to shift and the dew point's going to come way down, aka it's going to get really comfortable around here, and the wind's going to pick up a bit as well. It's going to get quite gusty as we get into Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening. So I'll show you what I mean. These are your dew points, okay? They're laying kind of thick right now. This certainly isn't like corn sweat tropical air like we have in the middle of summer, but this is pretty humid for this time of year. Typically, we start to dry out now. We don't have those huge humid events. So here's your humidity as indicative or as indicated by the oranges and yellows here. And then look at this shot of dry air coming in from the west. All right, so we're going to take our dew point from 65 Tuesday morning, muggy. So if you're going to work, school, Tuesday morning, it's going to feel kind of humid outside. And look at this. By the time you get home, our dew point is going to be down into the 40s. That's really comfortable air, and you'll notice the breeze. So Tuesday is kind of a day of big change around here, where we're going to go from this muggy tropical air, we're going to shove it out towards the east finally, and we're going to get things flowing again across the country. This dry air comes in, it sticks around for Wednesday. Wednesday looks really comfortable at this point. Thursday looks really comfortable as well. And then as we go into weekend, we'll have another front that starts to approach. So all that humidity goes down to the Gulf, and it kind of reloads up into the Great Lakes regions out ahead of this next front. So our humidity will come up a little bit on Friday, but then it goes back down for the weekend. And then you notice maybe another front comes in with even drier air by the time we get to October 8th. This map right here looks like October. These are not temperatures. These are dew point temperatures. So this tells us how muggy it feels. There is virtually no mugginess and no humidity across the entire eastern half of the country as we get into October 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. And I expect it to stay that way until our next front, which looks to be a little far off. Okay. So if you're not a fan of the humidity and you're like, where's fall? It's coming. All right. You'll feel it first on Tuesday, especially afternoon and evening, into Wednesday, Thursday. And then you'll feel it again next weekend, assuming that front goes by. Okay. So there's that. All right. Let's talk rainfall. So here's the big picture across the country. Here's our front. This is the one delivering the dry air Tuesday into Wednesday. There's not a lot of moisture because the low is way off towards the north. And there's heavy snow on the backside of this system that'll be moving through up in Canada. But for us, trailing, obviously too warm for snow, but really not a lot of moisture with it as it goes by. You see how it goes by, and it does pick up moisture out towards our east. That's why I would probably put a stray shower in the forecast on Tuesday. Best chances are going to be east. And then Wednesday, it's out of here with much cooler air. All right, where do we go from there? We'll dry out Thursday, Friday. may have something ongoing in the tropics. It doesn't look to be a blockbuster Helene or anything like that, but may have some kind of tropical interest later this week down in the Gulf of Mexico. The GFS actually indicating maybe 2 interests with some kind of tropical wave here and here. I don't expect those to become huge hurricanes. No models, guidance is showing that, but may have some tropical interest again late week. But for us, we stay pretty quiet until this next front comes, and the timing varies on the models. I like the Euro better. It brings it in sometime Saturday into Sunday. We'll see, though. It's just too far off in the modeling. But this is going to be another front that heads by with some shower chances on into the weekend. So keep tabs on that. It doesn't look like anything's going to be lasting long, so I'm not expecting weekend plans to be spoiled or anything like that as this front goes by. But we do have a rain chance this weekend. It would be brief. It's just the timing we don't know right now. So it's either Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. I know that doesn't help for your plans, but that's as good as I can get right now. The GFS brings it through on Friday. It's a little sooner than that. And what that front will do will likely bring us another shot of cooler, drier air. And then watch this. This is Sunday, October 6th into Monday, some kind of tropical system down here. And that week is the week that the GFS is showing maybe some kind of sharp front. Actually, it's the week after that. I'm sorry. Some kind of sharp front going through. This takes us up to October 13th. This is fantasy land in the models, all right? But the models are showing a trend. And the trend is what we need to pay attention to, that there's some kind of sharp front that goes through like October 13th and 14th, and that would kickstart some lake effect rain. And maybe I'll just keep it at rain right now, but it certainly does look to get much colder around here then. So mid-October, there's certainly the chance for that. We'll see where we go with that. I do want to show you Canada real quick. Oh, hi, Wyatt.
Hi.
You want to come say hi real quick? You got your PJs? Are those new PJs?
Uh-huh.
Oh, cool.
Hi.
You want to say hi? Say hi to everyone.
Hi.
You going to bed? Okay. All right. Good night. I love you.
Love you.
All right. See you soon. Thanks for coming down to check on me.
I'm gonna be down here.
You what, bud?
I'm gonna be down here.
Oh, okay. All right. Nice and quiet, though. All right. So the other thing I want to show you is our snowfall across Canada. And I don't say this to get negative responses. All right. This is something that happens every year. The snow starts to get laid down from central Canada up by the North Pole, northern Canada, into central Canada, into southern Canada, into the U.S. All right. So it's always important to check on what's happening in Canada, because that can lead to, what air masses we're inheriting, because that cold air can slide across snowpack a lot easier than it can bare ground that heats up. So here we go. October 2nd, October 3rd, 4th, 5th, 7th, 8th. And watch this trend. There's a lot of snow getting laid down, right? But watch how different it goes from October 9th through that 15th, 16th date that I talked about, where all of a sudden, almost all of Canada is getting snow all of a sudden, all right? So this is laying the foundation for some colder air masses later this month or later next month. And my voice just goes after you give it 15 minutes and my voice is done. Anyway. So this is something we need to watch, and we are going into a La Nina winter. Last couple of winters have been duds, right? We haven't had much snow at all. We haven't had any big systems, and it's too early to predict that stuff. What you're going to see on social media next couple of weeks, and what you're going to see probably on TV stations, is winter forecasts and winter outlooks, all right? And they're going to throw all these big terms at you. You're going to hear La Nina, and then you're going to get some generalized forecasts that no one will go back and check in the spring to see if they're right or wrong. But it's going to be some general forecast that says, hey, we're going to get 40 to 80 inches of snow. It's going to be cold at times, but warm at other times. It's going to be like a fortune teller's forecast, all right? That's why I don't do winter forecasts, because we can't, let's just use a prime example. Hurricane forecasters said this tropical season was going to be off the hooks crazy, all right? And it hasn't been. We just had Helene. Yes, Helene was a big deal, but big deals happen sometimes. But we're still in the H, okay? We were expected to be off the charts with the alphabet and all that stuff, all right? So I'm not going to tell you what the winter looks like when we can't get, a 10-day forecast down perfectly. And you guys all know my view on that. I just want you to know what to look out for, because these winter forecasts are going to be coming, and they're going to show dramatic maps with snow and all that stuff. That being said, we have been in El Nino winter last couple of years, and it's not just El Nino we have to rely on. There are so many other atmospheric and oceanic factors that go into a winter And it's not just that. I mean, we can't say a winter is going to be a certain way based on, this, we have a positive North American oscillation, whatever that is. We can't do that. All right. It's all about the weather pattern in the moment as well. We can get blocking high pressures that totally screw up everything for a week, and that cuts into our winter snow totals. We could have a storm track that goes right through Northwest Indiana for a week. That would add to our snow totals, right? But that being said, I do expect, and the trend is, and climatologically, everything would point towards a more active winter for us as we head into La Nina, which is a change. And as we haven't really had much snow last few winters, if I were a betting man, I'd say, well, we're overdue for a good snowy winter. And that would kind of be the case. So I want to kind of put that out there. I am leaning towards the fact that we are going to have a snowier winter, but I'm not putting out a winter forecast that says, click here, check out our ads. Here's a forecast that tells you nothing. Okay. But that's kind of where we're headed this winter with La Nina. And this is a sign that we obviously have colder air coming our way. How cold are we talking? Well, it's not here yet. All right. This is the model I trust the most in terms of highs. This is the Euro Porter County Airport, our center point in Valpo for temperatures here. Got us in the 70s next 2 days. And then Tuesday into Wednesday, remember that front goes by. So Tuesday night, we get down into the 40s. All right. Fall's arriving Tuesday night again. Wednesday's in the 60s. Should be a beautiful day. Cool mornings continue all the way through the weekend. And notice how we're pretty much in the 60s and 70s. A very comfortable week out ahead of us with low humidity. And then the Euro pointing towards maybe some kind of cool down later next week into the 50s. I'll show you the GFS. The GFS, again, is always wrong. It's not always wrong. It's just a little extreme sometimes. 60s and 70s, you get it. It's got an 82 on Thursday. I don't know. But then notice what it has towards mid-October. This is what we talked about. 80s going into the 70s. And then just off of this, if I were to show this right here, we would go down into the 50s and 40s, says the GFS. All right. This, I would not put much faith in it. All right. But the trend is there that we're going to have some kind of fall blast of air come in here mid-October. Until then, looks pretty nice. All right. And that's how we're going to start the month of October. All right. So that's all I have for you. If you guys have questions, go ahead and ask them. And we'll get you going here on this Sunday evening. Thanks for joining me. I hope that was helpful. I hope that information was helpful. I never know if you guys care about some of this stuff, if I cover too much, if I don't cover enough. I know some people say I take too long to do it, but that's the whole point of this. We're just having a discussion on weather. Oh boy. Tom says our lilacs are blooming again. Second time this year. Wow. Tom, and this has happened. Has this happened before? I mean, a couple of years ago, I remember this happening. And it's interesting. We have a crabapple tree that dropped all its leaves about a month ago because we're in a drought, and it's blooming again, just half of it. But it's incredible how, I mean, nature just doesn't know sometimes. It's fascinating. Let's see. So, yeah, Derek's saying, and good evening, Derek. Derek's saying maybe another hurricane in the south. Yeah, Derek, the Gulf will need to be watched this week. It doesn't look like anything like Helene, all right? But you can never discount warm bath water in the Gulf of Mexico. Although Helene did churn up some of the water over by Florida. And what I mean by churn up is that these systems, I mean, they're 20 to 30 foot waves with this, in addition to storm surge. Basically, water is being moved around in the Gulf of Mexico, right? Or wherever the hurricane is. And what that will do is take that warm surface water where the sun's been baking it for a month and a half. It'll take that warm surface water and bring up cold water from underneath. It's called upwelling. And so the water temperatures along, where the hurricane goes are often cooler behind the system because of all that choppiness, right? Same thing happens in Lake Michigan. If Lake Michigan and Lake Erie and all the Great Lakes, if the lake is just sitting there and the sun is, going to work on it all summer and there's not a lot of wave action, it'll heat up. I mean, we'll get up 70s, mid 70s, even upper 70s. But if we get a big storm that moves through, a thunderstorm complex, something like that, that creates big wave action, oftentimes the next day what you'll find is that water temperature is much cooler, at least at the surface or where readings are held. So kind of interesting in terms of that. But all that to be said, yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on the Gulf of Mexico. JP, great question. Will the recent rain we've had influence the foliage? So here's how the fall foliage is going to work this year. The trees that have dropped their leaves, all right, or are dropping their leaves or changing color now, That's all product of the drought. All right. They said, hey, I'm done. I'm not getting water. I'm done. We're done for the year. Okay. And they drop their leaves. They change colors. And those are kind of the duller colors. The rain that we're getting now is helping the trees that are still green. That helps them. All right. And they're going to keep those green leaves a little bit longer. They're going to be a little stronger. What we typically would want would be to have good rainfall, or at least periodic rainfall, all the way up to fall, because those trees would be happy and they'd be like, oh, I'm good. And then they'd say, oh, time to change. And they'd change dramatically and you'd have bright colors. What's going to happen this year is the trees that are green right now are still going to produce good color, especially because we got this recent rain. So we're going to have good color from those. The problem is there's a lot of trees that have dropped their leaves or are already changing as product of the drought. And so you're taking those off the landscape essentially. So we're not going to have as much color because a lot of the trees will be done already, but we're still going to have good color. So there's that. That's kind of how fall is going to go. Okay. Oh boy, Ethan asking about first lake effect event. Oh, Ethan. Oh, you're diving into bad territory here. We get a lot of hate mail for this. Ethan, I would probably point at, and this, there is no science behind this. I'm going to say, I like the GFS picking up on that mid-October hit, but I'm not going to fall for that yet. All right, I'm going to go October 22nd through the 24th. And there's no science behind that. I don't have a model that goes that far. I'm even going to write this down, Ethan. First lake effect event. Lake effect. We're going to do October 22nd through the 24th. No idea. All right. But that's when I feel like we're going to get our first cold hit with some lake effect. Now, you're talking snow. I'm talking just cold with like maybe rain snow mix. First accumulating snow. Oh, Ethan, I don't know. I'd probably have to go into November for that. Rich says, I predict snow, wind, rain, sun, clouds, time change. Hummingbirds will migrate south. Rich, I love your winter forecast. You should have teased it, though, and done a big dramatic article on that. Tom, you've never had that. That's interesting. Wow. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, we know the Earth is warming. There are differing, there are differing solutions for why, but that's a product of it. I mean, we're seeing some crazy things, right? That's interesting. Cassie says, my 10 green bean bush plants, which I planted in May, continue to flower and grow beans. Every week, I think I'll be pulling them the next weekend, and voila, more baby beans. That's crazy, Cassie. What a harvest this year, right? Oh, that's just great. Okay, so Rhonda, you are getting your roof tomorrow. So we have a spotty shower chance tomorrow, Rhonda. Best chance is east. They're going to be popping like popcorn. It's just with that the leftovers of Helene. I have a feeling, Rhonda, that you'll be fine getting the roof on tomorrow. All right. If it does rain, it'd be brief. And I really don't feel like that we're going to have a lot of rain in the region. All right. It'd be a spotty shower or two moving through. It should be okay. All right. Wow. Jeff has 15 pumpkins this year. Awesome. Adrian's asking when we should have our first frost. Yeah, because it kind of, it nixes the allergies once we get our first frost. I don't see one in the extended. I mean, we're getting close. We've got some 40s in the forecast, but nothing. Adrian, I don't have anything in the upper 30s. We need upper 30s for frost. Even mid 30s would do it too. So I don't see anything in the forecast. Maybe like October 10th through the 15th. And that's, I don't know climatological average offhand. I feel like it's the 8th or somewhere around there. But I don't see anything the first week of October, Adrian, unfortunately. Oh, and that's your birthday week. Well, let's not do that then. Rich, thunder snow is my favorite as well. It's amazing when that happens. Ethan asked a question. When do you think the high wind gust storm systems will start? So Ethan brings up a good point. A lot of times once we hit October, the jet stream starts to settle south, right? And that starts to bring storm systems that bring some real strong wind with it. And Ethan, there are signs that starts to happen this week. We've got some gusty winds that will occur behind that Tuesday and the Wednesday system. But there's indication maybe this weekend there's another little hit with some stronger winds. In terms of the really strong ones, those usually start around Halloween. You can bank on it. When those Halloween decorations are up, there's usually some kind of powerful windstorm that comes with a 70-degree day where the temperature crashes back into the 30s and 40s. You get a real big temperature crash. That's usually late October into the first week of November that we see that. Great question. All right. I think I answered all the questions. All right. That's it. Guys, have a wonderful night tonight. Thanks for joining me. It really means the world to me. X-Rock 103.9, Indiana 105, and Z 107.1. We have forecasts every single day for you. I've still got some other things in the works that are super exciting for Northwest Indiana and region weather coverage. I will let you know those when we finalize them, but some really good things going on. So I appreciate that. Also want to thank anyone that's reached out about advertising. We are full for the month of October. I don't want to overload you with sponsors. I just want you to know that. But if you do have a business or someone that has a business that are interested in something around November or December, we have some new content that will be coming out that will be sponsorable. So we have a lot of winter storms then, and we all love winter storms. So there's that. But would be happy to help. I want to keep all sponsors local to Northwest Indiana, so keep that in mind. All right, guys, have a wonderful week. All right, we'll be with you tracking that drier air in here Tuesday night and a Wednesday. Sweater weather is back. All right.